guys, welcome to javaisawesome, and in this video we can talk about what is connection pooling. That is one of the very important interview questions also, like how we can handle the connection pooling in maybe the jdbc or maybe the spring project, or what about the spring boot, how it will happen in the spring boot connection pooling. Okay, so all those things we can discuss about in this video. Okay, so let's start now. So first question is, what is the connection pool? Or maybe interviewer ask you what is the connection pooling. So connection pooling is nothing but, let me explain you. It's a pool of collection. It's a pool of connection. In that we have a lots of the connection, pool of connection. Okay, from that we are taking one by one connections and we are utilizing it. Once our requirement is done, we are closing those connections. So that is called a pool of connections. So connection pool is nothing but it's a pool of the collections. Okay, let me explain with the diagrams how it will look like. Okay, paint. So simply if I told you, for example, this is our application. Okay, this is our application, maybe our jdbc application or maybe some any project. So this is our app. In our app, what we are doing, we are creating the driver manager. Okay, driver manager dot get connection. Okay, and we are creating the connections or create connections. Those methods we are utilizing, and we are creating the connections, and we are using those connections with the help of the result set or statements, and then finally we are doing is we are closing those connections. So connection dot close, right? This thing we are doing. So for example, in the applications, every peoples are going to create one connections for every time. Okay, so lots of the connection will be created, and by default in the database, every database having some limit, like you can create only 100 connection, you can't create more than that. Okay, so maybe if you take the mysql database, or maybe if you take the oracle database. Okay, so for example, this is your db. Okay, any database, mysql database or maybe oracle database, anything. This is your db, and in this db what we have is we have a multiple connection pool. They will provide the connection pool. So what we have to do, if you create one by one connections like a jdbc, and maybe you forget the close the connections, then what will happen, the some limit of the times your connection will stop and no other peoples will do the operations with the database. Okay, for example, let's understand, you have one website, and in that website you are using the jdbc to create the connections, and you have created the connection only maybe 10 or 5 connections you have created, or remaining connections maybe what you have not you forget to close the connection. So what will happen is, for example, by default we have 100 connections. So at the same times, if 100 peoples will come your website and they will hit some actions to performs, and those data will come with the help of the connection only, maybe the database, then what will happen, they are utilizing the 100 connection. Okay, and they have not closed the connections, then what will happen, after the 101 people will come and he will try to access some things, he will not get response. Okay, because of the connection is not creating the new connection, already 100 connection is created. If someone will close the connection, then only other people will take those connection and they will utilize it. Okay, but if you forget the close the connection, then like that issue you can face in your application. But while resolving those issue, what we have done is we have created some technique like connection pool, and in that connection pool we are putting all like 5 connection or 10 connection based on our requirement of applications, and whenever user is doing some operations, immediately we are closing those connection within the time, and those connection we are giving to someone else. Okay, so that other peoples will not wait for until connection uh, uh, will be released or something will happen. Okay, so that's why connection pool will came in the pictures. Okay, so for example, this is your connection pools. So what we are doing is we are creating multiple connection pool. Okay, multiple connection pools, not one, based on the our requirement. So by default, maybe the Oracle database will provide 100 connections, but based on our requirement of the application, we can take initially only 30 or 40 connections. Okay, or maybe the 15 connection, that is good enough. Okay, let me write some connection one. So this is the connection one, this is the connection two. Okay, like that. This is the connection three. Okay, this is the connection 4. Okay, like that we have a lots of the connection, say 5. So those are the connections. Okay, and whenever you hit the request to get those connections, what will happen? You can send the request, hey, I need one connections. They will provide you one connections, and you can take those connection and you can utilize in your applications. Okay, once your work is done, immediately you have to close these connections, then after other people will take those connections and they will utilize it. Okay, but in the some point of maybe someone forget to close the connection, then we'll get the issue. Okay, so these things, for that they will provide the connection pool concept. Okay, I hope you understood. Let's go to our notepad. So connection pool is nothing but it's a pool of connections. Connection pooling is used to manage the connection in our application. Let me write it. Connection pooling is used to manage connection in our application. So with the help of that, we are managing the connection in our application. There are lots of the connection providers are available in the market. Okay, there are lots of connection provider or connection pool providers are available in market. Okay, so there are lots of the connections pool providers are available in the market. For example, Hikari, jdbc, Profilix or C3P, lots of. Let me search on the Googles. Okay, connection pool providers, list of connection pool provider, list of connection pool provider. So if you see here, there is a list of the connection pool provider. 3 JDBC connection pool framework is Apache Common DBCP. So DBCP is nothing but it's a Apache. By default, Apache will provide a Apache company. HikariCP, this is the very famous right nowadays. C3PO. So these are the connection pools. If you open it, maybe you can get some more connection pools. Okay, let me open it. So if you go here, go down little bit, DBCP, okay, this is the theory only they are saying. And for the simple implementation, your own also you can design your connection pool. Okay, using the basic connection pool classes, further improvement. Okay, so lots of the connection pool providers are available in the market, so you can utilize easily those connection pool. For example, first one is Apache DBCP connection pool, DBCP connection pool provider. What is the second one? Second one is maybe C3, PO, yeah, P0, PO. This is the one of the connection pool providers. What is the third one? Third one is Hikari. Hikari is one of the connection pool providers. If I talk about fourth one, so fourth one is one of the connection pool provider, Profilix. So like that, lots of the connection pools providers are there in the market. So what we have to do is how we can utilize those connection pool in our application. We can discuss one by one. Okay, let's start. So when you add this Spring Boot, for example, in the so earlier version, maybe a Spring Boot 1.x. So when we add a Spring Boot a starter JDBC dependency in our application, it's by default provide the tomcat jdbc connection pool, which is dbcp connection pool. Okay, after that if you don't they have come up with some other connection pool in 2.x, which is Hikari connection pool, and now by default we have Hikari connection pool in our latest version also. Okay, so let me give some history knowledge to you guys. Okay, so when we add a Spring, this is one of the dependency, boot a starter, starter, S-T-A-R-T-E-R, a starter hyphen JDBC. So this is the dependency. Whenever you adds in your project, it provides tomcat JDBC connection pool, which is DBCP connection pool. Okay, connection pool by default in a Spring Boot 1.x.x version. Okay, that time they are providing the default connection pool, which is the tomcat. But for example, that time you don't like this tomcat jdbc connection pool, then you can exclude those dependency in your application. So what you can do is you have a exclude, and you can exclude it and you can add the new dependency, so it will not come, and you can add some other dependency like that. You can exclude it also. To configure new connections or maybe new connection pool, so you have to add those dependencies, so it will work. Okay, so for example, if you want to use some other connection pool and remove the default one, then we have to exclude the which one, our DBCP connection pool, DBCP pool. We can exclude this, and new dependency, which connection pool you want those dependency, you can add in applications. Those you can add in the applications. So what will happen? So your new connection pool will start it. For example, if you want to add Hikari, So you can add the hikari dependency. So let's go to Google's and just collect exclude jdbc or dbcp connection pool provider. Okay, so if you open it, you can see here how they are creating, how what are the dependency they are using it, and how they are creating the connections pools. We exclude dbcp connection pool in a Spring Boot dependency. So let's search it. So excluding the connection pools, you can see this plugins, or maybe if you go down, some other website also you can take. Okay, so this is the dependency. For example, you have a one dependency called spring.jpa, and from the jpa you want to exclude those dependency. Okay, HikariCP, then you can add this one. If you want to exclude this one, maybe Apache Tomcat, then you can add this one. So this is the dependency I will show you. Okay, let me go our notepad, paste it here. So what are the dependency you want to exclude? Okay, so you have here exclude tags, exclusions, and in the exclusion you can pass, hey, from the spring data jpa I don't want HikariCP, so you can put in the exclusions. Okay, and what you want, so I want this one connection ports, which is org Apache Tomcat. If you want to do opposite, then also you can do it. So remove this version and copy these things. Okay, copy this and paste it here, and remove this one. Okay, and come back to here. Like that you can exclude it also. You can exclude the hikari, you can add the hikari, or you can exclude the tomcat, you can add the tomcat. It depends on you, how you want, which connection pool you want, and which one you want to use it. Okay, so the main important thing is like this one I am trying to explain you. What is the exclusion? Exclusion means this is the starter jar, Spring Boot starter data JPA. In that they have added lots of the jar, not only one jar. They have combined lots of the jar functionality and they have added inside this. Okay, in that we have already Apache Tomcat also. So what we want, I don't want this Tomcat particular this jar from this one. So a starter data JPA will come, but this particular jar will be excluded from that. So in our application, if you try to use this particular Tomcat jar, it will not show you. Why? Because we have excluded. So this jar will be not downloaded. And we are trying to use this one, Hikari. So Hikari jar will be downloaded. Okay, so like that, what are the things you want to required or you want to exclude it, you can put inside the exclusion tag. This is the main important things which you have to know. Okay, so in the company, like what are the work you are going to do, in sometimes some of the unnecessary jar which we are not using, which is coming through the parents. For example, this is the parent, a Spring Boot starter data JPA. In that by default it's came the org Apache Tomcat, but we don't want. So it's a default one only. Unnecessary is taking the some space in our application. It's taking some data also to download this jar, but we are not using it. So in that case, what people are doing is they are excluding those jars. Hey, I don't want this one. So that the space will reduce, the data or maybe running application will take some less time. So they are excluding those jars. So like that things you can do in your applications with the help of the exclusion tag. Okay. So we understood as of now in the Java 1.x.x version, they are giving in the starter jdbc. Let me write here starter jdbc. Okay, so by default they are providing what? Spring Boot starter jdbc. They are providing the by default tomcat, but we are excluding the tomcat and we are using the which one? Hikari. But in the latest version after 2.x.x, what they have done is itself the Spring Boot developer itself, not from our side. Okay, so in a Spring Boot, let me write in a Spring Boot 2.x.x version 2.x.x version, they have added by default which is HikariCP. HikariCP connection pool. Okay, HikariCP is the default connection pool they have provided. We no need to add any dependency to configure the HikariCP. We no need to add any dependency to configure HikariCP connection pool. Okay, I hope it's clear. If you have any below starter dependency, I will give you the some starter dependency. If in your project have any below starter jar in pom.xml file, then Hikaris will be default connection port. Okay, so if you add the jar, for example, spring data jpa, spring boot starter data jpa, or maybe if you add a spring boot starter jdbc, spring boot starter jdbc. So in your application, if you add these two dependency or maybe any one dependency, then what will happen? You don't want to add any connection pool. By default it will give the connection pool which is HikariCP. Okay, by default it will give you, and if you want to customize it, you have a lots of the way to do that. You can easily customize your application and you can do the work on it. Okay, for example, let me show you. Okay, let me show you. So go to the your applications, and so long back we have created one application, a spring date jpa project. Okay, let me open the pom.xml. So if I show you the pom.xml, you can see in this pom.xml we have a dependency. In the dependency tag dependency we have a spring data jpa. This is the one dependency. Next one is MySQL we have, Lombok we have, starter test we have, that's it. Okay, what we want to is, like, in this application we have not added any HikariCP, right? We have just added a Spring Starter data JPA. Okay, and let me run this project once. Okay, let me run this project once. Go to run a Spring Boot Starter and go to the console. If you see the console, it will explain you clearly, like a starting a Spring Boot JPA project application using Java 17 with the PID, this one. No active profile set. Okay, there is no active profile right now. Falling back to one default profile, which is application.properties. Bootstrapping a Spring Data JPA repository in default mode. Finish a Spring Data repository, scanning is done. HikariCP. If you see here, one connection pool is started. Hikari connection pool, which is one is started. Hikari pool 1 is added in the connection pool with the help of driver called com.mysql.cj.jdbc connection impl. This is the default classes. So they are taking this driver, they are adding these connections, and those connections are assigning to the Hikari connection pool. Hikari pool 1 is started, start completed. It's completed also. Hikari processing persistent unit info name and default. Hikari, this is not a Hikari, it's a Hibernate ORM core version. Okay, second label cache disable, no load time waiver setup, ignoring the JP class. Okay, fine, initialize. Okay, starting a Spring Boot. Okay, fine. And at the end, if you see, closing the JPA entity manager factory, and then after, if you see, Hikari connection pool 1 is shut down and initiated. Hikari connection pool shutdown completed. So they are starting here, the connection pool, they are starting here, and they are closing those connection pools here. How? Once our application execution is done, they are closing the connection pool, and it's done also. Okay, in the same way, it's a internal they are managing. We are not writing any code. As of now, I have not written any code. I have not done any configurations. Just we have had a Spring Data JPA. We have just added the Spring Data JPA dependency in our application. Because of that, we are getting the Hikari by default in the spring.3.x.x version, which is the latest version. Okay, so in the Spring Boot latest version, we don't want to manage Hikari connection pool or any connection pool. Okay, it will do by automatically. You just have to add the what dependency, any of the dependency, maybe the JPA or JDBC. Maybe in the futures what will happen is you want to customize it. For example, some timing you want to customize. Let's go to the console. So if you see the console here, shutdown initiated. So executing these particular Hikari pools, it's taking some time. Okay, sometimes like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and they are processing all those things. So if you want to like customize those closing the connections, or maybe how many connection will be created, those things you can customize easily with the help of the application.properties file. Okay, so what I'm going to do is Hikari pool customize we can do with the application.properties file. Okay, let's see the some customizations also. So let's go to the Google and say Hikari customize, HikariCP customize custom data sets. So if you see here, it's a YML, but you can understand easily. So it's saying like this is the dev data source hikari. Max lifetime is 30 seconds they have given. Okay, maximum pool size, so they are creating only one pool size. You can create 5 pool size also, 6 pool size also. How much connections is required for your application, based on you can create the pool size. Ideal timeout, how many times it will be stay for the connections, and you can give the pool name also, ipdsdb pool 1. So like that pool's name you can create, all those configurations you can do. Okay, and you can read those and you can configure it also here. You can create a, what we can say, data source. While creating a data source itself, you can give all those things. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give all those things into the properties file. Okay, and those configurations I will try to provide here. Okay, otherwise you can directly go to the here and you can write here data source hikari schema spring.datasource.hikari.schema password username full name. So you can give here full name. Full name is maybe the your name, or maybe is application app name 1, like that. You can give the name 1 2 3 4 5. This is the connection pool name. Then after, if you want to give something else like hikari or jdbc url password username full name read only auto commit ideal timeout max lifetime. Okay, long hikari login timeout register drivers class name maximum pool size. This is also important. Maybe you want 20 pool size. Okay, you want something called let's go down. Okay, some properties queries. So the important one is like maximum pool size and like minimum ideal time or maximum ideal time, those are important. Or maybe the auto commit, those are also important, so automatically commit will happen. Okay, so if you see here auto commit, you can make it true. Okay, so automatically comment will happen. Or some other you can take also hikari. Okay, ideal timeout, I will give maybe 1 second or 2 second, that is good enough. 1 second, it will wait for the only 1 second and it will close the connections. And then after also, like that, you can customize from the properties file itself your applications. Let me run once again. So previously we have seen all those things are the default one. So if you see here now, after customizations, okay, so after customizations, if you go here and if you see, so you are saying like hikari config name is a name, I have given this name, ideal timeout has been set, but no has effect because the pool is operating as a fixed pool size. Okay, and this is the app name starting, this is the app name, this one I have given, it's my name. Anything name you can give here. Added the connection poles. Okay, and this is the class they are implementing. This started hikari 204 processing persistence info name default hibernate orm core version they are using. All those things you can see, and finally they are sort down this application name. If you want to give your name here like connection pool name, you can provide your name Prince Kumar or something. Okay, so like that you can just customize it. It's not something like you are doing all those things, but you can just customize it like what I want. Based on that, you can all those things you can customize it. So if you the it's printing my name now. Okay, so this is the customization. Sometimes in the company they are doing lots of the operations with the database, then definitely this customization is very important. They are just increasing the pool size. Sometimes if our application is not working properly, they are creating multiple pool size. Maybe they will give here 40 or maybe 30, like that, 150. So like that they will create the pool size, and commit will auto true, and hikari ideal times they will maybe increase 1 second or 2 second, or maybe they will minimize it. Pool name anything is fine, no need to change, or whatever, it's your, like lots of the configurations are there. It's depend on you, like what you want, what you don't want. Okay, I hope you understood what is the connection pools, and we are not doing anything to add this connection pools. By default it's added if you add any JPA or JDBC in your applications, and then after you can customize it also. Okay, thank you so much.